This is a part of Guangzhou that didn't exist 10 years ago, and this is a part of Detroit that was the Great Train Station and Great Train Station Hotel, which is now burnt out. And so our cities are rising and falling at incredibly rapid rates. There are 600 cities in the world that are the keys to the global economy. They have a population of 1.5 billion. In 2025, the population will go up to 2 billion. They have a GDP of 30 trillion, and that will triple. That'll double by 2025. The middle class will just about double in those cities. And yet, that shift of where those 600 cities will be will dramatically change. And so the developing world will lose its share. America will go from 190 of these cities down to 120 or 125. And the GDP that comes from the mega cities and what is currently the developed world will decline from 73% to 34%. And what this is telling us is the future is unfolding very rapidly right now in the cities of China and many, many other continents around the world in places that we did not previously think were as important. The mass of those all together is going to be extremely important. And here are just some of the cities, and many of these are cities that we do not commonly think of or not commonly aware of. These will be the new names on the map. And many of the names in America that have global iconic status, for example, Nashville, may fall off the map. So I'm going to skip over that, and let's get right to a discussion about this and some of these other issues. Thank you. So we'll begin with Lu Mai. Lu Mai is the Secretary General of the China Development Research Foundation. He has studied both in China and in the United States. He's the only commissioner with Chinese nationality in the World Commission on the Social Dimension of Globalization from 2002 to 2004, and is now the executive director of the China Public Finance Society. So he has deep knowledge both of the finance side, but as you read his writings, also a very deep interest and commitment to the issues of social justice and social equity and achieving a balanced and harmonious society. Mayor Bloomberg referred to New York City growing by 2030 by 600,000 people. That seems kind of slow compared to China. China actually has an extraordinary amount of growth, and much of it is coming from rural migrant workers becoming urban residents. So talk to us about the challenge of that and the opportunities of that.
Yes, I come from a non-profit organization in China, so I'm not a government official, but the organization affiliated with government. In terms of fast development of urbanization, we witnessed the changes. In 1980, only 19% of the Chinese population live in the city, and the total is less than 200 million. And the last years, by census, is about 50%. It's half of Chinese population live in the city, and more than 66 million of Chinese live in the city. So this is a good thing because it's a driving force for the economic growth, and we can expect in the next 10 years it will continue at least 7%. But on another side, this is a very big challenge as social stability, because this urbanization is incomplete, because there's more than 260 million of migrants who now live in the urban area, but without fully social rights for the fully receive the social service. So that's the issue need to address and need to solve in the next 20 years. This is one thing. And another challenge is environmental. We don't need to talk about that now. But Chinese really want to learn from abroad, from New York, from other cities. Chinese government has a plan. They call this a 186 plan. In the 3 years, they want to treat 1,000 mayors or party secretaries in China about the urban planning and the urban management. We did that with our foundation did that for central government for 3 training programs. One is with University of Tokyo, focus on the urban planning and urban management. We also have a program with Harvard Kennedy School, and it's come to the New York to learn how to renew those cities, how to make 42th Street is a new street, new face. We learned something from there. So I stop here because the professor is Sachs.
So thank you very much. But I do want to ask you one more question, which is, so how do you plan to deal with the 250 million migrants who are not yet have full official status? So what do you think is the best way to achieve that?
Yeah. Many of you know about hukou system. The easy way to say we abolish it and overnight, but it's not so simple. First, we need the investment in infrastructure. In next 10 years, we expect the investment about this is 16 trillion to 24 trillion in the infrastructure in China. So each year is about 2 trillion investment in the the infrastructure. But there are another side. For this, for example, 260, for them to settle down. For example, each year, 20 million. How much is need is also another 2 trillion per year to provide the public service, school, the hospital, the insurance, pension, and so on. So this totally 4 trillion is about 10% of GDP. So we suggest to the government by 2 ways. One is increasingly to extend the coverage of social service to those migrants, especially for the education. Another approach also is to give them like a green card. If they work in the city for about 5 years, they can automatically become the 城市户口. So that means each year we suggest 20 million of green card give to those migrants. So through these 2 approach together, I think we can solve this problem in next 10 years.
And has the government been responsive to these ideas?
Not yet. Now, urbanization is the issue of local government. City government mainly take responsibility. But the central government has more revenue than the local. More than half is the central government's revenue. And also the quarter of land controlled by central government. So we suggest the central government use this as a leverage. One, if local government increase to give more citizenship, not the hukou, to those migrants, they should get more physical transfer and more quarter of land for the city. That's an incentive scheme. I think if we do that, the situation will be much better. But with this new benefit to be enrolled in the urban public school without any payment, we can expect more and more migrants come to the city. This is the big challenge, and sooner or later, central government need to make a decision.